When I tell you I wasn't ready because Monday, I already know Courtney hit me up and was like, oh, let's just do the show and talk Potomac because we needed to, right? And I thought I had seen something somewhere where they said Salt Lake was going to be off this week. Surely wasn't. Not only that, but then Courtney was like, have you been on Peacock, Real Housewives of Miami? And I was like, 4 episodes. So we're going to get into, there's just too much to talk about because honestly, Miami was giving it. Miami, I was a fan.
Stop.
Courtney, what did you think? Just a general of Miami, because let's talk, I want to talk Salt Lake first.
Okay.
In case anyone hasn't watched Miami, then at least you can save it for later.
Miami overall, showed up. No, Miami showed up.
Did.
Showed up.
And in the first episode, in the very first, I didn't need the 4. You could have just given me the 1, which is...
Didn't need the 4, but I'm so glad you did, honey.
Did. All right, so let's get into, and if you guys are in the comments, let's talk Housewives. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Have you watched all the Miami? Have you subscribed yet? And have you hit a like button yet either? Because not there were more people in my chat than liked the actual video. What? Oh. All right, so let's get into it. All right, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So we're continuing. And honestly, I was kind of gagged myself that it was still day 1.
Yes, honey. Still day 1.
Still day 1. And so we get Jen versus Angie 2.0. This is how I've nicknamed them. At first, I was going to say White Angie and Greek Angie, but then I've turned it to, we'll leave the first Angie, and then this new Angie, she's just 2.0. So my whole thing is this, like... Before we get into this delusion, because this show is a delusion.
All a delusion.
It is just bad. All right, but Jen, please, we keep talking about accountability. Now, what I've realized is out of every Housewives show, series, I would say Real Housewives of Salt Lake has the hardest time owning up to things that they've done. When I really think about all of the Housewives franchises, I low-key feel like it's really hard for these women. Because, like, New York, it's like you have, like, Ramona, who, like, will own up right away. Do it right again. But she at least owns... Yeah, I did do that. Okay. All right. So what? So I'm a bitch. Okay, I'm a racist bitch. So what? I'm not going to do it again. And then she does it again. You know what I mean? But, like, at least she owns up, at some point. Or even if it's not the whole thing, it's, like, some point. I feel like with this show, it's like, Jen, like, let's just stop pretending that you threw that drink on her because you just wanted to lighten the mood. Like, it's insulting at a certain point of, like, girl, what? Like... Everything out of your mouth is not valid at this point, because just say it. Because the reality is if you had your own room and you didn't have to share with Angie, you would have continued to let Angie give the tour and none of that drama would happen. But because of that room, that is why you threw that freaking drink. I'm sorry. I can't rock with that delusion. I just can't. It's
also like, are you... Because here's my issue with Salt Lake. And I will say this is the first episode in a while that I've like, that kept my attention the whole time. Like I wasn't distracted and like coming back to it and whatever. It feels like, I want to find a better word than crazy. But it feels like it's just a consistent roller coaster of crazy that has no rhyme, reason, or logic. And just goes on and on and on and on and on. And it's coming from all of them. And it comes from all of them.
I know.
Like, Jen is the queen culprit, but it is also, like, super uncomfortable because it feels like even in her psychosis, everyone is still trying to, like, be the one that she likes or be the one that's her best friend or be the one that's by her side. And I'm just like...
But and that's what makes me love her even more. Honestly, because at the beginning of this series, I wasn't rocking for her. And then I'm like, at what point? And then I just fell into, I'm like, yep, Jen Shah, fuck it, Jen Shah.
I just
OG.
don't get it. Like, what is it? Like, is it because she's the ethnic one? So they're like, oh, she's a cool girl. So, like, we want to be attached to that. It's just the weirdest thing I've ever seen grown as
Okay,
women.
so I feel like there is a factor of being that girl, right? And I would rather more so talk about this for Miami because I have a very strong opinion about Larsa and Lisa's friendship. But I feel like with this situation, kind of does play into race a little bit. Personally, I do feel like it does. I feel like out of all the girls, they look at Jen like she has the it factor. Because comparing to everyone else, it's like, well, I mean, yeah, she is the loudest. She'll comes out with the costumes and, you know, she probably took people out to lunch the most. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But now we know that was with money that, like, did you pay for that lunch?
Ill-gotten gains. Like,
So I feel like it's just like she's that girl and and because of that, I feel like it is their way of feeling in proximity to feeling cultured. Or I do agree with that little piece. I do think that there is a little bit of that within all of them that hold on to this friendship with her, because like Angie's different, a little different because they've been friends the longest. But like Angie, she says I've been used and I've been conned into hosting that party. And I haven't been paid back. It's like, girl, you've been friends for 20 years. Like, you're sitting here talking about, oh, I have too much self-respect. No, you don't. Because I'm sure this wasn't the first time. I'm sure you and Jen have not just had this flawless friendship to where it's equal and you don't feel at times that you've been slighted. Like I've continuously said, we know who Jen Shah is. Jen Shah has never changed on this show. Jen Shah has been Jen Shah from season 1 to now. Now we know a little backstory.
facts.
But if that's who she's been, the problem has always been consistent. She doesn't want to own up to things. And so then she'll flip it. But then when no one's on her side, she'll find the little gazelle, whoever the gazelle is. Usually it's Heather. And you feel bad for me. I love you. Oh my God, I would never. I'm so sorry. Dumb bitch. And it turns into that.
Mm-hmm. The boat ride from hell.
I will say, though, Whitney was a good icebreaker for when Jen came over on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Because she did a little upside down twerk thing. Lisa tries getting the girls to dance. Jen mumbles, I've been the fucking fun. Okay. Jen keeps trying to block out Lisa just because she's mad that Lisa...
That whole thing was just so weird.
It was just childish.
It was so crazy. Like, and the fact that Lisa kept indulging it made it, like, beyond crazy. Because I'm like, you're supposed to be, of all of them, like, people have had issues with you too. Like, at what point do you say, F you, Jen? Deuces. Like, why do you care?
But this is my thing with Lisa. Lisa needs to be liked. She needs to be the center of attention. Lisa is the main character. And like, we all are the main character in our own lives. But, like, we really all know, like, okay, I know you're the character in your main life. And we all know that, right? But we still have our little, like, you know, I walk through my life and narrate my life. But, like, Lisa takes it to the point of, like, not understanding that, like, everyone else isn't involved in that. Mentally within yourself they are, but outside in real life they're not. And I think that's Lisa's problem, is that why is no one paying attention? Why did no one talk to me? Why didn't you not realize that, like, I know it was your dad, but, like, you didn't know it was at 7:30, so that was the only tweet that I had, so I had to show everyone that text message. It's like there's just like this numb factor to her brain. And this whole fight with her and Jen, honestly, I loved it. I thought it was beyond hilarious where Jen is, don't you dare, don't fuck your charcuterie board. First of all, the fact that you called that a charcuterie board, not the Stop and Shop football like Sunday, like Super Bowl Sunday with the carrots and the French dip. Like what?
Girl, and threw it in the ocean.
Threw it on the ocean.
Just littering.
The smartest thing though, Lisa has said all season was emotional manipulation. 100% agree. I think the point is not to call it out within Jen, because that's not something she's going to resonate with. But I think it's something that in that moment, when you realize that this was emotional manipulation, you just back away. Let crazy be crazy. You're right. You're right, Jen. You know what? I'm so sorry. You're right. And you just back away. Because what are you going to get out of this conversation?
It wasn't even a conversation. And like, Jen is a petulant child, and how dare you shove anybody and think that that's cool when you screaming in their face? And how dare you take it, Lisa Barlow? Like, I'm sorry, I don't condone violence, but I would have kicked her in the face. Like, I would have stood up after she shoved me and kicked her.
Yeah, and the thing is with these shows, it's so funny because it's like, you know, you have Whitney on the side being like, this is the thing. No, you guys have to take accountability. Girl, what? Are you just sit down? Why are you in this? Like,
Meredith was not interested in entertaining her when she was trying to be like, nobody's taking accountability. And Meredith's like, I'm not going to listen to that child tell me what to do.
because she doesn't take accountability. Like, we just got off the last 2-3 episodes where you kept deflecting the whole thing onto Heather not remembering something that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Only you were talking about it, but you wanted to drag Heather into this. So, and then when Heather says, oh, I don't, you nailed her to the cross versus saying, oh, I'm sorry, I take accountability. And maybe you didn't know that. And it was actually me that spread this rumor. Instead of villainizing everyone else because you were a victim of whatever happened in your family however many years ago. But I need you guys to realize that these are the things that are happening within you. Heather says, I would never kick someone when they're down. I mean, to be honest, I think Jen is valid in her being upset with Heather, personally.
I 100% disagree.
Okay. So we get to the situation where Heather tells Jen to throw Angie's bag in.
And she was kidding.
She was kidding, but that's like joking to like a I mean, I know she's not a toddler, but that's like joking to a toddler and not expecting the toddler to actually do it.
100%.
So low-key, malicious intent, Heather. If it was anyone else, no, I wouldn't think so.
I think it was literally because I would be like the same way, sitting there with the friends, like, I'll just throw that bitch's shit over there. Like, joke, 100%, no malicious intent, nothing. Jen, no, not for real. And even that's why she's even trying to grab Whitney's shoes after she put her own shoes back on. Like, I don't think there's any malicious intent in that. Beyond your basic girly nonsense.
Right, like Mean Girls. The girls get off the boat. Well, after Jen continuously showing who you are, lying. I didn't throw it. I didn't just be real about it, girl. Just be real.
Own up to it. You a bad bitch throwing people's $1,000 shoes in the ocean. Own up to it.
Mm-hmm. Period. And you slept on in that car purposely. So the girls leave the boat. They come back to the house to get dressed. Jen stays in the van. Did it purposely. Attention. Just wanting attention. I forget. Did we look up her sign? I'm nervous to see what her sign is because low key I'm like, my nephew better not turn out like this because he be doing this little temper tantrum thing right now and it just is giving Jen Shah. But she did that on purpose. She wanted someone to either come out to check on her Or, and this is like, if she's a Gemini, this is what she
It's a Libra.
oh,
I don't know what that means, but
the usually like very clean out front, very like put together, but like mentally unstable within.
oh geez.
But they like say like we're so balanced, but you're always chasing, trying to be perfect and balanced, that it drives you fucking crazy. I know it's a like rub off of a Virgo, but anyways, I feel like with Jen, she was like in that car, and I feel like in her mind, she said, I'm drunk. I'm going to just lay here. And when I wake up, everything's going to be forgotten. Delusional, like legit delusional. And what does she do? Just that. She shows up in a Polynesian gown with a crown. And yeah. And so yeah, they go to dinner, then we see the dancing and they do drums. I thought Meredith and Lisa dancing were hilarious.
But I love that Meredith admitted, she's like, I'm a 50-year-old woman with no hips and no ass, and I'm white. Like, I don't do this.
Well, it's funny because Meredith was low-key giving the Wednesday Addams. Just dance, dance, dance. All right, and then we get the Fun Please strippers.
What was the strippers about? Like, that felt very out of place and random. Like, we're having a Polynesian party with flames and hula dancers.
Yeah, because honestly, I'll tell you, that one Polynesian dancer, there was one man, and he was fine.
You know, they were sexy.
He was really cute.
When the strippers came in, I was like, I don't get it.
I felt like it was Jen's way of like just being crazy, and then also like, remember Atlanta when they had what's his name, Bolo or whatever? Like, I just felt like it was like, we'll get strippers and men, and like it's just such a Jen Shah thing. And so these guys show up, and they were all right. And I mean, you know, like probably on the cheaper end.
Whitney got her leg all up in the air. I was like, girl, aren't you married?
Couldn't wait.
You want a little too much, sis. Too much.
Kissed by a rose on a plane. Jen says boo to Lisa for not having fun. Lisa's saying, and again, this just shows the personality. Lisa goes on to say that the strippers are dirty. That is so degrading. Like, first of all, we get it. You're not cheating on your husband, and maybe you're more in your head because that there were cheating allegations, and that's why you were trying to be so dismissive of this. But like, these aren't like, and maybe they are escorts, whatever, we don't know what their thing is, but they were only here to dance. They didn't just come from like, they're not porn stars. They didn't just come from like fucking somebody and now they're here like, yeah, like these are human beings, not like disgusting to touch, like, you know what I mean? Like, it just it's like, it just like, in that sense, I could kind of see Whitney, like, girl, I could imagine how long it was taking and uncomfortable it probably was. Like, the strippers are like, why'd you guys hire us if no one's gonna do anything? And Whitney and Whitney was just like, okay, just whatever, dance on me.
And I was surprised Heather didn't participate. Like, Heather's the single one. Like, why was she not involved?
Yeah, that's very true. The only man I have eyes for is my husband. Girl, no one is asking you to have sex with these people. Fucking weirdo. Dana then brings up the argument with Jen. And she basically says that Jen's not nice to the girls. And Jen says, like who? It's like, so tired. It's like, Jen, how many times are we going to have this fucking conversation? But here's the thing. The fact that when Jen gives you that answer, you feel the need to continue the conversation. You deserve the energy that comes at you. You deserve the wrath of Shaw. Personally, you deserve it. Because, bitch, what? Have you been here for the last 2 weeks, girl?
Clearly not.
I know you're
I was
going through it, but
almost about to give Dana or Dana, whatever the hell her name is, a pass and be like, okay, I don't hate having her around because I thought she looked pretty on the boat. And the energy when they came in, like asking about what happened, I was like, okay, Dana, I'm on your team. I'm on your team. And then we're at this dinner, and I was like, Dana, fail. Like, I don't know why you are inserting. Well, I do know why. You want to be on TV and you want camera time, but your insertion of yourself into that entire like debate that started about Jen and friends, and then it went to Lisa, and then it went to Heather. I was just like, girl, get out, get out. You should just be the memes on the side. Like, we should be looking at your face and hearing your side comments. Like, why are you forcing the like hatred to yourself?
literally because she literally says, I just feel really uncomfortable around you. Then why are you here?
Exactly.
Because you want to be on TV.
You want to be on TV. And I'm just like, you're messing up your TV. Like, we want to enjoy you, like, watching the fight through your eyes as the outsider. Like, girl, you could be cackling on the side, giving us some side eye, making some comments, like throwing in a little shade every once in a while. But like, don't be putting yourself in the middle of fights between hoes that you don't even deal with, like, or know the story for real behind.
Well, so then Dana tells Jen that Heather wouldn't choose Jen if she gave her an ultimatum. And Jen was like, well, what do you mean? And Dana goes on to tell her how she went to lunch with Angie and Angie basically said, when asked about the apology that Angie and her husband said they would give to Jen, that when Angie asked her legal representative, they said absolutely not. And they will not be publicly announcing that they did this. And obviously that set Jen off. They said that they don't want to be associated with, they shouldn't be associated with Jen. So basically we're getting a little bit of like kind of what happened with Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, with the whole Erica kind of thing. Heather says she never told Angie to do a public apology, because then by her saying that, she's owning up to something that is unforgivable. Now, here's why I just can't rock with Heather. Like, here's why I can't fully rock with Heather. Because, again, fucked up that they're not going to apologize. Do I understand the legal team? Yes. But then I also question it because I'm like, well, you already said on camera, like, it's very much publicly known that you did this. I don't need a written consent because you're on camera verbally confirming.
But apologizing is still its own thing.
That's true. Very true. Okay. So, but then my thing with Heather is this sentence. I would never tell Angie to do a public apology, because then she's owned up to the fact that she did something that's unforgivable. But
Makes no sense.
She's already owned up to it.
Makes no sense.
She's already owned up to something that you feel, like you just said, is unforgivable. So,
she's talking out of her ass.
And I'm just trying to figure out what this hold on this situation is, on Angie or Jen. Like, I'm just trying to figure that out, really.
Well, I feel
because
like
none of these other girls have to stop being friends with Angie. It's only Heather.
That's the point. And I think that that's what I think that the issue is that Jen and Heather, to a degree, hold each other in different regard. Because Heather said earlier in the episode, everybody's asking me like why I deal with Jen and let her do this to me, blah, blah. She was like, Jen and I drink together. We have a good time. She's fun for events and blah, 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 blah. I know who she is, and that's the friend she is to me. And I don't expect anything else of her. I expect that of her. And I was just like, that makes sense to me now. And now in the situation with like the Angie and all of that sitting at the table, Heather is just pulling something out of her ass. Like, she don't know what to say. She don't care. Because in the end, Jen is who Jen is to her. And it's all of this extra. She's like, I'm not about to give up my other friend just because y'all are mad at each other and they did something wrong to you. That has nothing to do with me and I'm not getting involved. But she's trying to explain it away constantly because people keep interrogating her about it. And I didn't like when Whitney, she's like going around the table like, well, aren't you friends? And aren't you friends? You showed up to sing with her. Why? And I'm like, Heather just doesn't, she's not able to articulate herself well in a fight because she clearly doesn't seem to like, she shrugs away from conflict or direct conflict and doesn't speak for herself very well. And I'm just like, girl, just say what it is. Like, bitch, you my drinking buddy. We have a good time. Angie's my homegirl for real. I'm not giving her up for you, but that doesn't mean I don't love you and hope the best for you. But I'm not changing my life because you got some bullshit going on. Period. Done and be done. All this, but you're not my ride or die. And everybody, they clearly got different definitions of ride or die. And I think that Heather has shown in the last 2 seasons that she's clearly supportive of Jen, right, regardless. But she's not blind to who Jen is.
And that's what Heather needs to start saying.
She needs
being
to say
real. I am not ride or die, Jen. I'm sorry, I'm not. I know we joked about that, and unfortunately, this is going to be a Cynthia and Nene moment, and I'm going to have to rip the paper up,
the friend contract up. But I think that in Heather's mind, ride or die is that I'm still your girl. Like, I'm not going to shun you because of what's going on. That makes me ride or die.
No, Heather very much is aware of what Jen's mentality of ride or die is. And I know Angie knows the same exact thing. You just aren't friends with that kind of person. It's like, I obviously can't say names on here, but I would name you. I would compare you to somebody else and tell you those 2 names, and you would understand the situation right there and there. Okay, but I wrote that this group of women deflects more than any other cast, right? I said that earlier.
Wow.
And this table is what had started that whole thought process for me. So like you said, it's Heather arguing with Jen. So then Heather, instead of wanting to like just boldly say like, Jen, I don't want to be your fucking friend, or we aren't that close, girl. Like, instead she then throws it to Dana and Angie, and she says that they're involving themselves in business that doesn't involve them. And again, Heather, you guys brought these people into this. They were never here. They were never here. So yes, they're involving themselves because now they're here because you let them in.
And where did Dana come from? Where did Dana come from? I don't know. Who is she?
Dana is friends with Meredith and I believe Heather. Meredith and Heather. And okay. and the other Angie.
Because I'm like, this, oh, child. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Angie gets me. They're equal. They're the same person to me, actually, in this. So she deflects it onto Dana and Angie. And then that didn't work. So then Heather's initial reaction was to, well, you threw her shoes overboard. And it was just, instead of having the conversation, it was trying to point out her issue with everyone else, to the point that then it turned back to Lisa and Jen going at each other because Lisa now didn't want to understand that, well, how are you coming at me now? You guys say you're friends 60% of the time and that it doesn't make sense. And then Jen saying that I don't remember even pushing you. Jen saying she doesn't remember anything that happened on.
So full of it. It's disgusting. It's so. And it's so, sorry guys, my dog is losing her crap. People are in my hallway
It's just,
right now.
This is an obsession with being Jen's friend.
It's crazy, but I do appreciate that Lisa Barlow brought up the whole, like, Jen in the hot tub with everybody saying that Heather's not her real friend and is only 60-40 and all of this stuff that she was saying behind Heather's back, when she's sitting here mad at Heather for being not what she thought she would be. Like, you're not being the friend that you claim to be to me either, because you talking all frauds about me behind my back and telling them I'm not shit. So you all suck. But in the end, I appreciate that Lisa was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And she just got up about her business. And I'm glad that Heather got up and was like, then find you another Heather Gay, because she's terrible at defending herself and arguing, but I don't think she's entirely wrong. But I think when she shows up wrong, it's because she's uncomfortable doing the defense that she needs to do and saying as bluntly what she needs to say to Jen.
Agreed. And now that you've been on TV, I need you to get it together because you're too old for this. And I have more faith in you than that. Like I'm harder on Heather because I don't believe she's crazy. Like you know what I mean? It's like I can only go in on Jen so much because it's just like,
yeah. I think that Heather is sane, but I also think some people can't and don't deal well with conflict, like and direct confrontation
but
in
then
conflict.
you can't, you shouldn't be on reality TV. This is the
Absolutely, you
wrong.
should, because when you're with a psychopath like Jen and you can't deal with conflict, that makes for great TV.
It does, but until next season when Jen's off this show, and I'm like, what is this show gonna be next season?
I can't even speak to that because I don't see how they're gonna have. I feel like it's gonna be like a Teresa Giudice situation where they need to not have a show until Jen is out, but because Jen is going down for like doing like a 12-year bid or something, we're never gonna have Salt Lake again.
Damn, bring Mary Cosby back.
I'm glad we got a few clips of Mary Cosby in this episode because I miss her.
I do too. Honestly, I loved her craziness. We're gonna get in the future some beach Olympics: Heather versus Jen, Heather versus Whitney, and then Heather with the black eye, which I think is over dramatic. All right, let's get into Miami. All right, if you haven't watched it yet, I advise just stop right here, go watch them, and then come back and join us. And by the time you come back, I'll have bookmarked the video, and you can just click to where you left off. Because I don't want to spoil anything. So here's your moment, if you haven't watched yet, to come watch it tomorrow.
There's so much.
It's so much, but it's so good. I'm so excited.
I haven't. 4 episodes. We have to discuss it like on situations because like.
No. I actually did a really good job of kind of flushing it out. All right, so we start out, the first episode basically was this build up between Lisa. Basically the first 4 episodes are this build up between Lisa and Larsa. So Lisa, now remember the reunion of last season where Larsa felt like Lisa didn't stick up for her, and Lisa felt like I didn't even feel like it was a place for me to even voice myself. So apparently they haven't spoke since that. So this is where we start. And we get this build up of them basically talking. Oh, Larsa wasn't really talking about Lisa. I felt like it was more Lisa feeling nervous about Larsa, because Larsa has a new place in Miami Beach, and she is having this new beginnings party, which is the most Instagram model type of party. But I love Larsa, so. And honestly, I think I've loved Larsa even more this season. So we get this new beginnings party, which Larsa is doing 2 things. So before the party, she's inviting people up to come see her home. She didn't invite Julia because she's a weirdo, which 1,000,000% agree. And fair enough, honestly. And it took me up until this season to like really like, I've always kind of thought she was odd, but like, I forget what she did. We'll get to it later, but I was like, oh yeah, I wouldn't invite that bitch into my house either. And Adriana, she said she's a wild card, which to her, I agree.
Yeah, she is.
All right. So Larsa's new spot, though, is very much giving 1010 Wilshire in LA.
Right?
And the basic drama from this show is starting off of Lisa making a comment. Now they're all going to go to Larsa's party, and when they find the building, Lisa looked it up, and this is going to stem into my whole thing. I truly do believe Lisa has an obsession with Larsa. I think that she wants to, like, remember I was telling you about that girl, like being that girl? Larsa is that girl. It's just she's pretty, she's, even tempered, you know what I mean? She can be placed in a room and she's probably going to gain attention, or she probably wouldn't leave the room being disliked, right? She's just that girl. And I feel like Lisa's beautiful. I think Lisa's gorgeous, but there's this like desperate kind of oh, like, oh my God, for my birthday, I got, this watch. Oh, it's so funny. I have like 3 of those too. Like, look at all 3 of mine. It's like, girl,
Yeah.
what? No one was asking about that at all. So Lisa makes this comment that Larsa's staying in a place where hookers, criminals, and OnlyFans models are known to. She saw it on a blog. I just saw that this is where she's
Hookers
staying.
and drug dealers.
Hookers and
Yeah.
drug dealers. Which then before the party, she says, and it was so funny how she tried to clear this up. Oh, I don't want this to get back to anyone. But how funny is this? It's not hookers and drug dealers that live in the building. I can't believe I said that. Hookers and criminals. It wasn't that. It's just OnlyFans people. Like, it's still offensive.
Yeah, it is. Because in the end, it is still choice real estate in Miami and very highly priced. And Larsa, as she said, paid for her house or her penthouse. So stop hating, Lisa.
Oh.
But Kiki, girl, you didn't have to do that.
Oh. Kiki, do you love me? And Kiki spilled all her tea. She spilled all her tea right to Larsa, which, now, fair enough. Lisa didn't tell Kiki not to say anything.
Well, she did ask her to please let her be the one to say it. I think that happened off camera because they talk about that when they're like fighting back and forth. And Kiki was like, yeah, but I felt a way about Larsa being my friend for real. And I not think to her. So I get it, Kiki, but girl, you know you have to do that.
No. And then Larsa says, I don't know, where should we get that from? This building's all Harvard men in finance guys. I'm like, girl, Ricky did not look like a finance man. I'm sorry.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Like, that's a part, like, girl, Lisa, you're probably not totally wrong, but you were saying it shadily to shade her and what she's doing. So
right, because honestly, it probably is an influencer building because a lot of people, they make a lot of money, so they like to live around. They like to be around each other.
They need the views, like, because they're filming content and stuff, and she's got great views. So yeah, it makes sense.
So we get to the pre-party. The girls are coming in. We see Gertie, Alexia. They have their own little drama because of which we'll get into that. But basically, then this turns into Lisa walking in, and Larsa says, "Welcome to the hood." And here's my thing. Like, look, is Larsa petty? Yes.
Yes.
She's petty.
But
but here's my thing. I low-key in this situation am on Larsa's side because the reality is I genuinely, from this season, what I get is that Larsa is in a good place in her life. I think that she genuinely is happy for herself. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's why we're seeing her and Gertie clicking a lot in these first 4 episodes because they're both in the same mindset. Gertie's getting, I don't know what the full extent of her being Vogue's #1 wedding planner with that, if that's like Vogue or like Teen Vogue or like Vogue.com.
I'm pretty sure it was like Vogue. Like, or even if it's Vogue.com, like that's no joke. Like her weddings and her event planning is no joke.
Okay.
Like she's not, that's not some bullshit for housewivesness.
Okay, well then, because we'll get to Alexia in a little bit.
Well, that's an interesting conversation. Yes.
Right. So my thing is with Larsa is they're in these places in their lives where they've been through bullshit and now they're just focused on themselves right now. Like they're not worried about like the outside drama. So if you're bringing that to them, like Larsa said, like I'm going to bite back. I'm not going to bark back. I'm going to bite back. And I think that the problem with this is Larsa extending the invitation to you was her way of saying, look, let bygones be bygones. Like, I love you. I want you to be here. Whatever. And then to hear like, wait, you were just talking shit about where I live, because whether you think it's a joke or not, it is a shady joke. And if y'all are not on good terms with each other, what would you expect from that? And you know that it was wrong because that's why you went off. And that's why you snapped when she said, all she said was, your mortgage. She didn't say how much you charge for your house to be rented out.
You were below, like you were behind on your mortgage. She just said you rent your house out to pay your mortgage,
Which would be a smart thing. If
which
you have a
is so
beautiful piece of
smart.
land and you could have people shoot music videos, I was looking for a live workspace to where I could rent out for
Oh,
photo shoots and it would pay my whole rent.
but apparently, amongst that level of rich people, it is offensive to have a mortgage.
I just
It
don't think Lisa
pays
understands
down.
what a mortgage is,
Well,
personally.
I think at first I was thinking that, but I think she's not totally unclear. As because when she has the conversation later with Lenny, like she clearly knows more than I expected because I thought she was like real just dumb as rocks and like had no clue. Um, but in the end, clearly that has nothing to do with what Larsa said. It has everything to do with what you're going through.
Right. And then now Larsa did push it again, but because you were pushing her continuously. Because honestly, right when she said the first thing, you should have snapped like, wait, why is she taking it this hard? And then you should have explained the story, said, this is what I saw. And then I realized that I was wrong when I saw that. And
Mm.
then I know how it still is offensive. And I'm sorry because I love you. And then we go drink and carry on. Because Larsa wanted it to end. She kept
Yeah,
being like, all right, look.
and that's what my appreciation for Larsa is. She definitely just be like, "Can we go on and party? Like, I'm trying to live a happy life. Like, I ain't trying to fight with you hoes."
Now, my conspiracy. I
Uh
think
oh.
this was fake. I think that this is why I think it's fake. I feel like when you're friends with somebody, and I feel like they are probably very close in real life, enough to create this. I just thought it was really interesting when they cheersed. Like after they said they were done and all this stuff, they cheers, and Larsa said to new beginnings. And Lisa looked off at the camera, like not off at the camera, but she looked off, and then she looked back at Larsa and she said, "Yeah, new beginnings in hell." And I was just like, what kind of conversation is that? Like, you're trying to like heal and like be better people, and like you guys, this is the girl that you've been talking about, you miss her so much, you just squashed whatever it is, now she wants to be your friend again, and now you're talking about we're gonna start hell. So which made me think like, did they know that this was happening with Lenny maybe, and this was their way to kind of cause controversy so that it leads into, I don't know, I just felt it just gave me setup vibes, this whole them, and also Lisa carrying this conversation on Larsa, because I don't know, I just don't fully believe it. I do believe that Lisa is in pain. I do believe that, but I don't see her doing this repeatedly with Larsa. I don't know, unless she just genuinely wanted to tell her, but it looks like she's going to act fully surprised by this. And I also don't like that Bravo showed us this, personally, because I really would have liked to have seen the dinner with Lisa and Lenny without knowing what's going to happen. Because I would have liked to have known if I genuinely would have thought he looked annoyed through the whole dinner. And
Yeah.
I just feel like if I didn't know that piece of information, would I have read that same feeling?
Well, I think it's tough because I don't really blame. I think Bravo just had to lean into what existed on public record. Like when he filed for divorce, that's public record. It's in the tabloids before the show comes out. So
Right.
it's not like, yeah. But in terms of rolling back to the conspiracy that all of that was fake or staged, I mean, it's possible. Obviously, it's reality TV. Anything's possible. But the reason I would lean that it wasn't is because once Lisa was clearly slightly inebriated, she's one of them girls that got to keep bringing shit up. Like how Gertie was like running around hiding from her at every part, like when they were trying to party, and like she kept bringing it up, and they did the like sequence of how many times she
Right.
brought it up in the course of the night. I'm like, oh, you're one of those girls. So you're actually the one that claims to be over stuff, but will keep bringing it up and wants the friend group to be on your side. So you keep pulling them separately, like when they're trying to like coddle you and like make sure you're okay. Because Gertie tried to make sure she was okay before they went upstairs, and then they went to the bathroom trying to make sure she's okay. and like still you kept saying the same thing over and over and over again. And I just don't think they're good enough actors to for that to not have been mostly legit.
Fair enough. We saw Julia and Andrea showed up with an olive branch. Dramatic. Jill Shazarin was randomly there, which I thought that was, and we got nothing from that other than her being here. The girls, like you said, kept wanting her to move on. She just would not. So the party ends. Whatever. Some other things we got from that episode was, or actually, this is the start of the next one, was Nicole and Anthony are planning an engagement party. And I like Anthony. I like him. I think he's like a weird, nerdy kind of cute. He said, please don't go over $100,000. She still hasn't talked to her dad. What's your whole take? Let's just do this one in a bundle. What's your whole take with Nicole, her dad, her mom saying that she's mean to her, and her having this self-realization that she needs to change and give her dad a chance? And also,
I want my girlfriend here. Yeah.
And also, just throw this one in there when Anthony was like, oh, and make sure Larsa stays away from the captain of our yacht. So she doesn't wreck any homes. Like, oh, not messy, Anthony.
I was like, we got a Peter Thomas in case on this Clat crew, but I wonder if that was how joking that really was, because
I don't think that was joking.
That's why I'm like, because
no, actually, I thought it was kind of telling because I feel like he was doing it in a joking way based off a non-joke that Nicole made me have mentioned to him, and he now feels comfortably. I'm wondering if it was that, because he's new, so he doesn't really understand how this stuff could come back to him in the end.
I mean, he's been on a season before, child. He should know, but that was a little shady. But also, what you doing in them streets, Larsa, that's got somebody thinking this of you. But in terms of Nicole, just in general, like, I actually kind of feel bad for her because I understand the conflict she has with her family and this idea that whereas I get where her mom was saying, like, you have to accept people where they are because they're going to do what they're going to do. And the only person that you can change is yourself. And when her husband noted, like, yeah, you don't answer his calls or you don't do this, like, you're hard on him. And then, but in the same vein, I still get why she's like, if I can live up to these standards, why the heck can't? Because it's not like crazy high. Like, I'm asking you not to be drunk and not have your hose around me and to show up when you say you're going to show up. So I can get how she feels like I'm not asking for the moon. Like,
yeah.
But at the same time, your dad is not a 20-year-old. Like, he is the man that he is. Most people don't change very much after a certain point in life. And if you want a relationship, you either accept what they are and place them in a position in your life and just keep that, keep the boundaries around it. But, they're going to be what they're going to be, and stop hoping for them to be different, because that's how you keep getting disappointed. So I understand that path too. I did feel bad when her mom was like, oh, and you hurt my feelings, or like sent me away, or whatever she was saying. And I was like, that sucks, but I get it. When your parents are like doing stuff and you're like, this is fucking stupid. Like, at some point, because you're an adult, even though you're still their child, you're an adult and you're watching them do stupid shit, and you have to just be like, oh, okay, mom, whatever. But you don't want to hurt your mom's feelings. Obviously, you have a good relationship and love your mom. Like, apologize and move on. But I feel like I was cool with her, like, morphing and accepting dad for who dad is, until dad said, well, if I can't bring my woman, I don't want to talk, or I don't want to show up, because I think that's crappy. I think your relationship, especially in a situation where you have had a long-term effed up situation with your daughter, I think you should be able to put your daughter first some of the time and be like, all right, I can come to the kid's birthday party and not bring my hoe with me.
Right.
Like, you should do that. But whatever. All this, oh, I deserve to be happy because I'm sober or not sober and 67 years old. Like, yes, you deserve to be happy, but like you have a whole child that you
You
claim
also
you care.
deserve to be respectful.
Exactly. So,
Mm.
good luck, girl. Families, parents are a struggle sometimes, I guess is the the moral of that story.
Um, an interesting, again, Julia weirdo, but one topic
Don't
with
be a weirdo. She's sweet.
she's sweet. Uh, One topic though that I think is was interesting is her in this farm, and so she has a farm. Her kids are out of the home now, and Martina is working a lot, so it's leaving Julia to go to this farm daily. She leaves in the morning, comes, so she basically wants them to sell their Miami house and go live on this farm. And she's kind of nervous because she feels that now that the kids aren't there, that there's nothing really keeping her grounded. And I'm like, if I was Martina and someone said that to me, that would hurt my feelings. But it brought me to a really interesting conversation that I had in Greece, actually, with somebody. And there's this guy, and he was saying to me that we were like talking about relationships, and there was a straight couple there, and they were saying how they would never get a divorce and da. And I was like, yeah, that's the kind of relationship I want. And the other guy was like, well, it's not really, gay people aren't meant for monogamous relationships. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, it's not normal. And I'm like, well, one would argue that being gay is not normal, right? So whatever, but what's not normal about it? And he said there's nothing there to hold you, to keep you in commitment. And I was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, if I say I love you and I want to be in a commitment with you, then that's the commitment. And he was like, well, no, like, the reason straight people stay together are because they get married to start a family, and they have the bond of a family, and they have kids, and so to get a divorce, there's other people now involved and things like that. And I was like, okay, I kind of get that, but then it's like I also know, like, I have family members who their kids, as soon as they were old enough, bye, they don't be seeing them, and they in that house all by themselves, lonely little life. What's holding them? The thought that they have a kid somewhere out in the world that doesn't call or come visit them, like, or what about people that can't have kids? So but I agree with him. I think that is the mentality in the gay world, actually. That's where it's starting to move towards, like, not really be in a monogamous relationship. He was like, if you guys have properties together, you can easily split properties or sell the property. Like, you can always do it. But when a child is involved, and so then I was like, so you're basically basing monogamy on having a child. I was like, that's interesting. I've never looked at life like that personally. A commitment to me is, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I say together forever until death do us part, then that's what we do. So I thought it was interesting that Julia is here wanting more attention from Martina, but then saying she doesn't feel grounded in the house. That basically, like, Martina can't fulfill whatever this loneliness is because everything reminds her of her children. So she needs to have this. I mean, I don't know, like, girl, like, what in the escapism is going on in your mind, sis? Because she really told her girl she was bored, and I'm like, if this woman leaves you now, I hope you understand why.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things where like interests are so different for a couple. And when you don't have the common interests of the kids anymore, figuring out the middle point for you guys is much more challenging. Because when Julia talks later about having wanted to have more kids, and she, to some trauma of being left, and her comeuppance in Russia, and like whatever the hell was happening, and like not having family and support and stuff, and she wanted a big family always around her. Like, clearly there's some trauma behind her excessive emotional lack in this moment. But I think like it's a challenge because clearly Martina's like, I don't want to be on a damn farm. I don't care about no dang pigs and no goats, and I don't want to do this. But also, I'm in the city in this multi-million dollar house that we've built for the last 4 years, and it's empty. And this brings me no joy as Julia because you're gone most of the time.
Right,
So
true.
there has to be some kind of, so in that regard, I get Julia's like, I guess her pain, but I also appreciate that she's able to say it, even though it felt a little bit harsh when she was like, Martina, I'm bored and I'm alone and you're gone and whatever. Like, I get if I were Martina, I'd be like, bitch, calm down. You got a whole ass farm with da. But also, you don't want to. Julia seems like the person that like she still wants her partner, even though that's not their thing, to like love it too. So at least like show up to the farm with her when you're in town, because like that's what is her calling right now because the kids are gone.
Right.
So she feels purposeful when she's at the farm doing stuff. So I feel like, girl, they need to figure that out because that's about to be a whole mess.
Yeah,
In life.
I feel like it's gonna be dark in a few episodes.
And I hope not because I like them together and like it's cool. Like, but
No, I genuinely do feel like Martina would suck it up and visit the farm at least once a week or something, girl.
I know, girl. Like, come to the farm at least once a week.
What's your take on the whole Gertie and Alexia situation? Which team are you on?
I really hate to say this because I have loved Alexia since they first started doing Miami. I thought she was crazy and like her life was insane. Like crazy shit has happened to that woman, like consistently. But I'm kind of seeing energy and believing what Gertie is saying, that she's the kind of friend that only calls you when they need something. And to be like 100% for them in that, no matter what else. Oh my God, my dog. Sorry, guys. No matter what. I had to yell at the dog for a second. Because the way that she kind of like, and then the like slight dig at Gertie's planning skills is super offensive.
Yeah.
It's beyond offensive because if you are Gertie's friend, you know how much that her work is her passion. It's her. Like it's, so to be like, oh, you know, Marisol put together my bachelorette party and it was way better than that whole like charity thing that you did. Like, and then it was a charity for her dead brother. Like, you're an asshole. You're not my friend. Like, you're an asshole.
Literally.
And you're just mad because I have decided not to do your next round of weddingness, which has been already going on and probably costing Gertie money because she's got to pay her team to keep working on planning these things that have to keep getting canceled or not working out. And some of that's obviously not Alexia's fault. I mean, her mom passed away. Like, that sucked. So I get it. But at the same time, like, you're not going to shit on what I do and then still expect me to do it for you. And then not only expect me to do it for you, but you refuse to participate in the way that I run business. Like, oh, my new planner didn't send me this long checklist to do. It's like, girl, everybody works different. Like, and if you want me to do my job how I do it, then follow my instructions.
So and whatever. Also because that yacht, like, we waited 4 years, how many years for this? Like, no offense, girl, but like, we could have planned this in a week. Yes. Like, we didn't get a dance. We got a long speech and some fireworks. Like,
the best part was the fireworks because honestly, it wasn't that attractively like decorated. Like, it wasn't super fabulous. Like, other than obviously it's on a multi-million-dollar beautiful yacht, but beyond that,
and the hallway with the flowers was cute. I thought that was cute.
It was cute enough, but it wasn't like spectacular. So I think it was pretty shitty for her to shit on Gertie and then turn around and still did mediocrity.
Now, see, here's the thing, because my Real Housewives of Miami, I never was into it until last season, which I caught up. And I don't really pay attention to the girls' lives outside of the show. So I didn't know anything about Lisa and Lenny. So this was so intriguing for me to watch this like kind of unfold. because first of all, the first sentence of her talking about he is looking good, he's working out more, but he doesn't have stamina, but he has all this energy. I'm like, do you know what stamina is, sweetie? And then this one, we see Lenny has to stay home and watch the kids. So she's sewing up by herself to a wedding, which emotionally, that would bother me. If I was
Yeah.
married to my man and running around like it was the happiest thing in the world and my man didn't want to go to the wedding, like, let me just watch these two happy people kiss while I'm
Be
here by
happy
myself.
once all by myself.
Sorry about it. Adrian shows up with number 2, Dr. Thierry, from last season. We saw him. And Gertie showed up. And also, another thing about Alexia was like her shading that Gertie sent her the flowers. I'm like,
Oh
I thought
yeah.
that was very genuine of her. And like the fact that you even try, why would you even send me this here? Like, really?
Like clearly I already have flowers. So girl, bye. Like you're one of them peoples that thinks that your friend is supposed to do everything for you and like be totally concerned about you all the time. Fuck you.
And right when we think that, we're here for something positive, of course, here comes Lisa talking about how she doesn't have a mortgage and, Larsa really has to understand this and it's offensive that Larsa thinks that she has a mortgage and it's also offensive that Larsa stole someone's husband. So this was the first. So now this is where we heard Anthony, Nicole's husband, make the comment about stealing, wrecking a home. And then now we actually have that continuation of the story being presented to Larsa. And no details were given. It was just, she kind of just threw it out there. And Larsa kind of was like, excuse me, who? But Lisa didn't say anything. Lisa feels that Larsa is punishing her from New York. But I genuinely think Lisa feels guilty. I think Lisa is going through not getting attention from her man, and she's not getting attention from who she is obsessed with. Because when she saw Larsa dancing with Adriana at Larsa's initial party, and Marisol was like, "Ooh, not you jealous," and Lisa was like kind of like, "You caught me," like, you like her, you want to be friends with her, like, I get it, girl, like, she's that girl and you like that, you want to be with a pretty girl, you want to be friends, you guys probably have a lot of interests and similarities. I think Larsa probably puts you at a little bit of a distance because I do think she does see like the competing thing because it comes across like you're competing with her and it's weird. And it turns even darker because Larsa gets upset and that she's like, look, I keep giving you an olive branch and you keep talking shit, like, and then it turns to Lisa doing this walk the plank thing.
Yeah.
And to make the first joke, okay, funny, oh, she should walk the plank, like, okay. But then just because I don't remember who it was reacted to that and she saw that she got a reaction on that, she then started running the ship talking about
Where's the
where's
plank?
the
Where's
plank.
the plank?
And
That's so weird. I want to talk about a weirdo.
yeah, and you embarrass yourself, like, and it's hard because it's like, I know you're hurting deep down now, I know you're hurting, but it's like, oh girl, like, you ain't even good. At least when Phaedra was hurting with Apollo, she still cut.
Yeah.
Phaedra in her depression, she still knew how to play the
Yeah.
game, but not you, Miss
But
Lisa.
Lisa's not that bright. She's not the brightest cookie in the box.
Yeah. And then she starts bragging to Larsa about the price of her home. No one spoke about finances. Literally, no one. Larsa never brought up finances. Larsa never made it seem like you were broke. Larsa never said you were broke. She never insinuated anything about you not having your own money. You did that. And then she was like, saw it bothered you. And she wanted to get understand, yeah, you get everything from Lenny. And then you felt some sort of way, probably because there might be a little truth into that.
There's definitely truth in it. That's why it's like, girl, stop. You know Lenny pays for everything. You ain't had no job. You ain't got no job for real, other than the Miami Housewives. And probably the reason you on Miami Housewives is because Lenny's trying to get rid of you, and you know he is. And he's like, oh, she's got income now. Perfect. Put her out.
Yep. Larsa ends up giving her a rose, and Lisa was just so happy that she's back in the good graces of Larsa. And again, because you're really depressed that Lenny's running around with some girl, and which we're going to see in 2 weeks. So we get off the yacht party, or the wedding. I hate even calling it a wedding because
it wasn't a wedding. It was a party.
Yeah.
They said it's not a wedding.
Now, I do love Larsa, but I do hate that she has this dog, King.
Why?
Because I feel like Larsa is a busy woman. And I just feel like...
You're not taking King out for real.
Yeah. Like, I do... Now, I do think that Larsa loves that dog. I think Larsa would probably be an amazing animal mother in the way that she cares about him. But I feel like you need a smaller dog. I feel like women, I hate to say it, or people like you know, for me, I had a smaller dog. I want a big dog, but I know I can't have that dog until I'm not traveling as much, until I have like a place with a yard and things like that, because that's a big ass dog to have in an apartment. And as someone who had an ex with the Great Dane, it was a lot. It was just a lot, and I don't know.
I mean, in her defense, though, her penthouse is twice the size of an average.
She has 2 dogs.
Yes, but she's got over 4,000 square feet of space. Like, this is not like your average apartment building. Like, I'm just in an apartment. 4,000 square feet is a lot of space, especially for a dog. It just sucks there isn't like an outdoor yard area for them. But they're also poodles? What was that?
Yeah,
Labradoodle?
Like something like
Look
that.
like a poodle or a Labradoodle, whatever. And you know she has help. Somebody takes some dogs out. She ain't walking them dogs.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out who this dog trainer is, because I'm like,
yeah, honey, she flew him out. You'll find him when you get here.
And now here's my thing. If I would, like I always say, I feel like I'd be friends with Larsa in real life. This would be the man that I'd be like, girl, this is probably who you need to start talking to. This, like, he's
a regular guy.
He's just a regular guy. He shows up. He ain't, you know, impressed by the whoop whoop whoop. You know, he's just here. He's clearly good at discipline. You know, so it's good parental, good for, you know what I mean. He's got a job. I mean, I thought he was cute personally, but
he's not tall enough. She likes really tall guys.
Girl, and look what they do to you. Look what happens. But she's dating Michael Jordan's son now, I think, from what I see.
Yeah, that's the final word is him right now. Get it, girl. He's like 32.
Yep. All right, but so all this leads to her having a dog birthday party. We get to the beach, and the girls don't think Lisa. Basically, the girls are saying like, "Look, Lisa, you probably don't know what a mortgage is, and you probably don't know.
You probably don't understand
what's going on." And because basically, let Lisa tell it. She's the accountant in the family. She's doing all the numbers.
She paid all the bills, all of them.
And you're not, and that's okay. You couldn't even open the wine door. But
which, side note, can we talk about that wine cellar for a moment? That was nice.
It was cute. It gave me Charisse's champagne fridge.
Her champagne room, but that was nice. It was very spacious.
It was. I need to see the inside of it, though, because I didn't know if I actually loved it or not. It was impressive from far away, but then when she was like up at the door, I was like, actually, I want to see what that would look like inside. But, I mean, hey, it's a little too big for me. I wouldn't want a wine room in my house like that, but maybe I would like it like Charisse's personally. Okay. Another like side conversation in the show. I agree though with Alexia about her son's girlfriend.
Oh, heck yeah.
I think that as her son, it's like you should be thankful that your mother cares. Like, because a lot of people's moms don't care. and then this girl could call the cops on you again, could scam you. You know what I mean? Like I was you in a situation where my ex was trying to get me away from friends and family. So this happens in life. So your mother's doing her job because that's what a loving mother would do. She's supporting you. Clearly the girl showed up on the party.
Yeah.
But now she needs to be that barrier for you of like, no, you don't just get him again because he's got a soft heart and clearly he likes you, but no, Mama Bear gonna be here. So I fuck with her for that, and I think that she shouldn't feel guilty about that, which I think she kind of does feel a little guilty because she doesn't want to feel like she's coming in between her son or anyone. But it's like, that's a tough situation because domestic abuse lasts on people's shit for a while. Like,
and he has had multiple run-ins with the law in the past.
right.
So this is also not something he needs to be happening in his life at all.
Let's see. Lenny looks so over Lisa. Oh, so we got the Lisa. She sets up this dinner date thing, and
my heart. Ah,
now see again. I didn't know the tabloid stuff, so I'm watching this pure. So when I'm watching this scene, I was like, I wish they didn't tell us that he was cheating, because I really, now it's hard for me to watch it and not know that he like is beyond done with this girl. And it just would have been an interesting one last time to kind of have that mystery in my head. But now that you're like, this has been known, I'm like, well, look at me late to the party. Sorry. And as they're at this dinner though, the nanny is taking a shower and apparently falls in the shower and breaks her wrist. Well, mind you, that's just what one of the helpers at the house, they came out and they were like, she broke her wrist in the shower. Like, broke her wrist? Like, first of all, and this is what I felt like Lenny was more so getting mad at Lisa. It's like, legally, we have cameras here, and this woman just came out talking about someone broke a body part on our property. She did not break a body part, so we are not calling 911, because if you call 911, then it's an incident for real that happened here at this house.
But also, a broken arm, you take yourself to the emergency room. Like, he's not wrong. Like, right. 911 is like, because somebody is
okay,
like,
but do you think his anger fully came from just being like, girl, it's just a broken arm, or also like, you're making this into a bigger thing? I felt like legally he was like, because if 911 comes, they have to put that in a record someplace that this happened here. And we don't, I mean, maybe they trust their nanny, I don't know. I would think if he's a big time doctor and this woman run out here talking about broke a wrist, ma'am, are you a surgeon? How do you know she broke it? Like, you using language here in front of these cameras. Like, personally, I don't know.
It's possible, but I mean, you got that much money, your ass is covered for injury on your property. Like, I don't think true. I think he was mostly irritated. Well, number one, he's already clearly just irritated with Lisa in general. You saw it when she couldn't open the wine fridge and then went up to the door and he was like, bitch, you about to break the door, stop. So I think that's just like a consistent thing. Like, and don't get me wrong, Lisa is annoying. Like, she's not the brightest person. So I think when he told her, and he's already probably fairly misogynist to begin with, he's like, bitch, I told you once, do not call the ambulance, just call this girl Uber and she's fine. And he's a whole doctor, like, and then for her to still be like, I think I'm just gonna call. And then the chefs she was like, what do you call? He was like, yeah, I called the police. But I'm like, the chef is gonna say what, you're in the room, like, he's not gonna be like, no,
and my thing is like, but then you felt comfortable, like, this is low key, I'm team Lenny in this situation. Like, I'm a doctor and I just told you not to do this, and you gonna ask the chef, the cook?
Exactly. And I think
and then you went with what he said.
You went with the chef confirming you instead of what I'm telling you, which is why he came back around the corner like, girl, do not call 911. Like, stop wasting people's time. 911 does not need to be called for a broken arm. So yeah, I mean,
Now,
obviously there are
but here's my
marriages.
thing: if this divorce, that obviously she'll get money because they have kids, but
Well, apparently not, honey, because that's part of the dramas. He done kicked her out the house. The house is not like she got two small children,
and
and
they're
that's
his children, right?
family home. Yes, they're his kids. And that's their family home. And when do you see, unless there's a money situation where you need to sell the house for the divorce, what man kicking you out of the family house? He told her she need to go find somewhere to live. And she had to struggle to find somewhere to live. I think they're still like fighting over who will get that house.
And that's my thing with it. That's what's hard about this is because, obviously I don't want this to happen to anybody, but like you look at someone like an Erica and Tom, it's like Erica, I feel like she's handling herself. She's always going to be good. Lisa though, I'm
Yeah,
scared. I don't see her fending for herself personally.
not at
Like
all.
it makes me kind of really
It's
nervous for her like mental stability and for those children now.
because she
Um
did say she got with Lenny. I think that she was 21. I don't know if she finished college or even went to college. Like, I don't know. She seems like the cute girl that got some big titties and went looking for a rich man and found one that happened to not be substantially older than her, so it wasn't super gross. So,
She'll get
um,
something out of it. There's no way. I can't see her walking away with nothing.
she will definitely not walk away with nothing, but there's a big difference between.
I mean, she's not getting the house. Sorry, girl. You probably aren't getting that house. That house.
And in the end, you probably can't afford to upkeep that house. So you probably shouldn't want it. But I understand the heart attachment. Like, this is supposed to be your family house that y'all like put together, built, and did all of this for your family. You finally have your family. And now this nigga about to be like, move out and bring his new hoe in. Ah!
And it's like the editing now that you say it too, like when Nicole and what's her name were in the pool and they're like, oh, this property is just gorgeous. Like, could you imagine? It's just gorgeous. Like, just the editors buttering it up to tear it all down. All right. So again, the obsession that Lisa has with Larsa is Lisa is now planning what she was calling a New Beginning Part 2 party, but then she changed it to a Good Vibes party. And at this Good Vibes party, we hear how everyone knows that Lenny likes strippers and single people at his parties, and Lisa likes friends and family. Alexis tells Adriana that Marisol heard about Dr. Thierry, and this is gonna obviously blow up eventually, probably a few episodes down from now. I don't think Marisol's gonna give two shits about it. She's gonna be like, girl,
Like, ain't my fault he married.
ain't my fault, and you wasn't doing nothing with that for real. Then Larsa talks about what she like. This is where she gets into that, like, I like tall guys, and I'm not. Larsa, I love you, but you are toxic. We all have to understand that we all carry toxicity within ourselves, and it is our jobs to continue to recognize that and remove that toxicity, because what's that thing? It's like, do it once, shame on them, do it twice, shame on you. Let me read this sentence because I wrote it word for word of what she said. She said, I want a really good looking guy so that whenever I get mad at him, I'll just look at him and I'll see how cute he is, and then I won't be mad anymore. And it's just like, that's the world we live in. Like, that is the mentality right now, like low key. And I get it because I go back and forth. Like, this is why I had to delete Tinder. I literally had to delete Tinder because it got to a point where I was like scrolling, and it was like I wouldn't even read your name, your profile. I'm just looking off the initial picture, just like already like, no, I already know, no, to the point where it was so numbing that I was just like, this is rude. Like, these are like people. Like, I'm just sitting here like disposable. Like, maybe the what you're physically attracted to, Larsa, is not what you need. Maybe it's just something that you want. And maybe it's not what you need, but you could find something, but maybe it's not a basketball player. Maybe they're not an athlete. Maybe they are just, you can find a fine ass tall man at the grocery store, or not the grocery store, but I'm just saying, like, in the world. He don't gotta be a celebrity. And I feel like there's this thing about once you have some sort of status, you have to find a man with an above status, and you can't get a regular guy or whatever, because it's like you just said, you make your own money, you do all this stuff, so why just not find a guy that makes his own money? He's doing his own thing and he's okay with you showing your feet on whatever. Like, once you get a celebrity, the power is, well, you over there showing your feet? Yeah, I was over here fucking these girls. Like, oh.
I don't know. I do think obviously she's special, but there is something to be said for once you do have some level of notoriety, celebrity, whatever, the challenges that come with, as much as you might actually want and be okay with the regular guy, especially I will only say in heterosexual male female relationships, it ain't a lot of dudes that can deal with that. That's regular dudes and be in a healthy relationship.
Right, because I am, like, realistically, like, what's she gonna date? Like a firefighter? Like,
The male ego is definitely its own thing.
What would that even look like? You know? So, I don't know. Then we got the other thing from this party was Lisa talking about how she put her dog down, which was so sad.
It was so sad, and he was only 9.
And also within this, that she really made it about Lenny. It's just sad because he did cry, but fuck Lenny. Fuck, ain't no sympathy for Lenny. Sorry, Lenny. Not you kicked a woman out of the house like that. What in the Tyler Perry?
Your children's mother, which means you are kicking your children out of the house. That is not okay.
Giving Jill Scott from, what was that movie called?
Oh, How Did I Get Married, or Why Did I Get
Married? What did she say? Bring her dog down. Sensitive arguments between the girls are stupid, and invites the girls to the Florida Keys. So now she's just realized, now the dog's passed, and she's like, all this arguing, the walking the plank, like, it's just so petty. I'm beyond it. And this is actually what scared me about Lisa, is you're low-key so obsessed with Larsa, and now I think psychotic, that you planned the exact same party that Larsa planned, but you want to be the center of it. And, like, I low-key feel like you made this into a thing so you could ruin Larsa's for that new beginning party, because you weren't a part of it. You weren't the friend that, like, I know that sounds really crazy, but, like, I'm telling you, this was really weird to me for her to change the name from New Beginning Part 2 to Good Vibes, and then her wanting them to be like the death of the dog, and then we all need to be on a trip. It's like, it's giving Jen Shah, me, like, crack, come on, I need my fix. Like, it's giving that.
Well, she definitely needs her fix, because clearly her husband is not even trying to give her any kind of fix.
No,
so
and
her whatever attention she can get, child.
Yes, and because then we see her husband not really wanting to be at the party, and then this guy Vito shows up. Now here's the other part, because I'm like, Lenny knew what he was doing. I think he knew what he was doing. He knew he was still mic'd, and he knew what that meant. Oh,
go ahead, finish.
Well, sorry. What I really didn't like is that the child was still in the room. That really bothers me, because I think that now that I am around, like, my nephews and, like, watching a child be raised, it's like, do not ever expect. There are too many times where I have felt comfortable, like, oh, he's not listening to me, or he's not doing this, and they are. And so I just feel like, bro, that's low. Like, first of all, the fact that you're even having this conversation with somebody on the property of this and this show is happening is insane to me. But second, you're doing it in the room with your son. Third, another person, a third party, was more concerned about the child being in the room than you were. So there's that. And then him basically saying that he hasn't slept with Lisa, and the Vita was like, why not? He said, well, I feel like then I'd be cheating on the person that I really love.
Ooh, child.
I mean, way to burn.
And I don't know. I have a feeling that because he's so comfortable doing this on camera, the things that he has probably actually said to Lisa in the privacy of their home are probably 10 times worse. So if I was Lisa, and I get it, girl, it's an $80 million house. You live in a real fancy, good life. But there is no way on God's green earth that a man gonna tell me my husband can't sleep with me because he feel like he cheating on his hoe. Get out. You would not be kicking me out. I would have done called the police on you.
Yep.
Get out of my house. We will figure this out some other time, but I don't want you. I don't want you. I don't want you no more. Like, no, bye. Absolutely not. Like, I know it's going to hurt, Lisa, girl, but I hope you are getting through this real strong, because the way that man talked about you on camera is just beyond. It's beyond.
And felt like, so comfortable, because I'm like, again, I've worked in reality, so at least they know when they have their microphones on. They're very, I mean, like, they can't wait to take them off. They're never just like, oh, I forgot this microphone was. That's why even the Lisa Barlow thing in Salt Lake, maybe she was just like psycho. She might be psychotic and on pills.
I mean, she probably had a break psychotically, but you still knew you were mic'd. You just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, but like these guys, especially these two types of characters, it's like you easily could have just walked over to the microphone person. Like, basically, like at a house situation like this, there's a table outside and someone you constantly go to get your battery changed. You could have easily walked down and been like, oh, well, I'm done filming, and given that in, but you wanted that to, I think you wanted that on camera, and that is messy. And I'm like, I'm not the house husbands of Miami are the messiest.
The audacity, okay? Like, and he cannot, because I would think on some level, like, usually the men, like, especially in his case, he has a business, like, he's a surgeon, like, whatever. You don't want to look bad on TV for your business alone. Like, even if you don't give a shiznat about your family and your wife, like, at least you don't want people like, oh, I'm not going to go to him. He's a piece of shit.
Right.
Like, and it's just bizarre to me, like, what was so bad in your relationship with Lisa that got you to be that cruel? Because that's cruelty.
Yep. It's almost like well, I mean, he said, and this is what it was actually, there was one line that I was like, I didn't understand how he said it. So he says, well, I may be single soon too. He says, she can do anything and he just is expected to go to work and come home.
Yeah, that was confusing.
But he didn't say she. He said, yeah, it's like you can go do anything you want all day, but then it like, I didn't know if he was saying she goes and does whatever she wants, which is what I was assuming he was basically saying.
Yeah.
But then I was confused because it's like, well, everyone has this picture in their mind of you doing whatever you want, like a party man. I don't know. But so I took it as, in his mind, he's looking at her like, you think life is about you because you're on a reality show. This is what I really think it is. You're on a reality show. You think you can just, oh, everything's an excuse. I have to watch the kid because you have to go to this. I have to do this because you have to go do this for Bravo. And everything's about you. Like, I'm a fucking doctor. We're in this house because of me. And I think it's probably that is where this is going and stemming from. Again, male ego, not being happy with just the fact that you save lives. You save lives. And your wife loves you.
Well, he ain't saving lives. I'm pretty sure he's building titties, because I think he's a plastic surgeon.
Hey, saving lives to some, you know? All right, wait. So that was basically Real Housewives of Miami, and like we going real long here. But we have two totally random topics because I just have to have this conversation. One, Watch What Happens Live with Bethany. Did you watch it?
Of course.
What was your overall take? Because obviously we know Andy and Bethany are friends in real life. So I feel like he told her, I'm going to go hard on you because if I don't, people are going to act like I don't. Did you feel like he went hard on her? Do you feel like Jeff Lewis went? People were basically saying that everyone was awkward to Bethany on the show. They felt awkward for Bethany. But then there's people saying that this interview showcases that Bethany's a bitch.
I just look, maybe it's just because I still like Bethany. Like, do I think she can be a bitch? Sure. But I like Bethany. I like her. I just like her. And I think Jeff Lewis is a bitch and he can be a bitch too. And they were being bitches to each other. But I didn't feel like it was like awkward. Ooh, get us out of the room. Like we shouldn't be. I thought they are all entertained by each other. Like they all know each other. They're all cool on some level. And they also give each other shit. And I didn't feel like it was uncomfortable to watch. Ooh, God, they're so weird and it's so uncomfortable. Like, I didn't get that vibe at all. But, like, I think people come hard for Bethany. I think she is sometimes speaking out of turn and maybe not the best on some stuff. But I also think she'd be dead on a lot of stuff. And I
agree.
Like her. Sorry. Nobody's right and perfect 100% of the time. Like
same. And honestly, like I was looking at, I didn't even know who Jeff Lewis was, but
what? You did not watch Flipping Out?
No. Well, at first I thought he was the guy from Survivor.
Oh my God.
What's that guy's name? Is his name Jeff Lewis too?
No, his name is Jeff Probst, I think. Probst.
That's who I thought it was at first. And I was like, oh my God, his lips look like deflated Lisa Rinna. And then I realized he was from Soul and Sun or whatever. But
oh my God, he is literally Flipping Out was like one of Bravo's first like big reality shows.
Oh, Flipping Out. Yeah, see, I wasn't a fan of him. And I didn't think his takes were, I was like, what is the point of him being on here? But either or, apparently it read awkward to a lot of people to the point that Jeff reached out to Bethany after the show and apologized because, I don't know, I guess he gave a look or something like that and he wanted to apologize to her because it wasn't that serious. I also think people coming for Bethany doing the Rewives show like is insane. Like, how are you gonna, just because she doesn't want to be on a show does not take away from the fact that this was an experience of her life and that she's one of the number one housewives. Sorry, I put her at within the top 3 personally. 100%.
I agree.
I mean, say what you want to say about it, Luann, whoever else, like it's giving better. And I fuck with Bethany, and you're just keep putting money in her pocket. Also, someone who's trying to put money in their pocket is Jamal Bryant. So wow. Did you hear about this? Basically, he is trying to apply to get a license so that he can turn his church. Okay, he's not going to turn the church. He's still going to have the church. But on the property of the church, he wants to build a weed farm. And he thinks that this will bring jobs and it will entice young black men to want to be a part of the church. And I'm just like, first of all, this is sounding crazy. And you go... on like so many levels sounds crazy. And like, are you gonna get like tax breaks off of this? Like, I just went deep with the thinking of this, and I just am like, because I know we're gonna get him on Potomac in the next episode, so I'm just like, Giselle, run and stop.
I mean, she can't run. The babies are still in the house, but they will be out soon. But I just, like, I want to give the benefit of the doubt, like, okay, you know what? If it's legal, it is, there could be a space where you have, like, a compound, not just where you're growing it, but, like, where people are actually studying and, like, learning about what's actually positive about the usage of marijuana. And not just for recreational.
They should just call that place the Burning Bush, and we can call it at the end of the day at that.
Not the bush.
Well, that's all we have for our Housewives tea. I mean, obviously this was a long episode, but we just had to get that to y'all because when I seen them 4 episodes. So take your time and then come back here and let us know what you guys are thinking about Real Housewives of Miami. Courtney, where can everyone follow you?
Same place, all over social media at Stewart Starlet.
Boom. You guys can hit me up at DJ Jesse J. Hit us up at Next Mood Swing across all social media platforms. Hit that like and subscribe button. Till next time. Peace.